Okay, another demo. So last time I showed a demo where we transfer customer interviews into an analysis, a PRD, user story map, and so on. This time we're dealing with something different. We deal with the fact that we have an existing roadmap. A ton of stakeholders are pulling on us and want features from us. But in your life, in my life, most of the features are just dumb. Nobody gives a damn about them. And we're totally in administration work around all these features, wishes, and all that, although most of them are just senseless and we still have the work going on. So I built a system that has a database view on our roadmap, and every new incoming feature is first evaluated against that roadmap and also scored about, is it a meaningful feature at all? Is it described well enough and all that stuff? And then it gets into a flow until in the end we get, if the score is high enough, the feature is well founded and everything, we get a prototype built, we can have a discussion with the stakeholder based on that prototype. And in the end, we can put it into our roadmap if we want. Yeah, so there's a lot of automation in between, always a human in the loop. That's the principle. And I hope you never will build this system as well and you will not use it. It's just a showcase of what's possible. And I think if there's just one or two places which make sense for you, rebuild those things. The evaluation of a feature. Do you have to care about it? The building of the prototype. Or, all of these are a little bit of magic which could make sense for you, could be useful. If not, forget about them. That's the whole point. So this is just, again, showing what's possible. It's not rocket science. I can do it, so you can do it. Basically, the system builds itself. You don't have to code for it, even though we have this database connection going on and all that. Yeah, that's about it. So let's dive right into it. Switch views. So that's the whole thing. And let's start with this here. This is in Airtable, this is my roadmap view. Basically, these are, what is it now? 12, 13 features. We're still Neo Employee, the company that builds artificial AI-based employees or employee skills, whatever. And of course, our salespeople are running around like crazy and getting impressions of what people would need. So they basically come to my desk every second day and want something wild, or every day 5 times. What is it? So I'm looking for a way to get rid of these people with the crazy ideas. And what I did for them is they can send me an idea of a feature in that form. So that's the feature request they can send. And let's come up with something. Let's say we want an agent that does debt collection potential ranking. And I give a really lazy description of this. Build an agent that goes through invoices and collects a score if it makes sense to hand that over to a debt collection service. That's it. And I'll send it off. Good thing. Thank you. It should now be in my roadmap, I hope. Let's see. Oh, there it is. Debt collection potential. So the roadmap is described in feature name, a description of the thing. Then it has a triad balance. So I like to describe some systems as brain, nervous system, and organs. Organs are the things, the items doing the work, getting data, being dumb oftentimes. The brain is the thing that helps us analyze things and get to decisions, and the nervous system is sending all this data around. So the integration unit. Then we have Claude feedback. So once the system gets into Claude, Claude will send us feedback. Then we have a ranking. The ranking right here is still 0, 0. Then we have a roadmap lane. That is next, now, next, later, of course, that type of road mapping. Then we have the status of approved feature or not approved, and the horizon, like H1, H2, H3. Do we make money with it now, later, or really late? All that stuff. Because later on, I want a roadmap that is balanced around as well the triad of brain, nervous system, and organs, but also the next, now, later, and the horizon. So, a lot of stuff to balance in the roadmap. Usual everyday work for a product manager, I hope. Cool. So what we now see is we have this feature down here, debt collection potential, and it has no scoring at all. We don't know a thing. And that is where my system starts working. So let's change to the agent system. Okay, what I'm now doing in my system is I come back to my table. It's the morning. Every day people come up with these feature requests, and I just give those feature requests an audit. That's something I automated here. So that thing is now starting, and it takes a lot of time. It goes over to the database, gets all the data on the new features, and then does its work. So it only found one feature. It looks at the description, everything, and ranks it again against all these features, like how well is it described. Does it have a description of what it does, why it is meaningful, how it fulfills all these features like Horizon 1, 2, 3, when do we want to make money with it? Is it more custom? Is it more a product already and all that stuff? And based on that, it's now getting, because it's super lazy in the description, it only gets a 7.5 out of 10. Actually, that's already too much, but I didn't tune that algorithm that much. But it doesn't pass the smell test. So it gets no approval at all, no extra services. It's just giving feedback in Airtable. And now the stakeholder can actually give some feedback to it. Let's see how that works. For that, we have a feature refinement thing here. We go into that one. So Claude told us there's insufficient description. It needs clarification regarding organs, which invoice systems will this integrate with, tried components, use case, technical approach, and so on. So give me a couple of minutes to fill that out. Okay, what I did is I gave a better description based on the feedback request I got. So I said details are that for the first client, this will only integrate with LexOffice. It will be orchestrated inside of our NAN system. It's for an internal finance team which tries to outsource as much to debt collection company as possible, and so on and so on. So all the questions are answered. And now that should be updated in the database. Let's see. Damn, my whole answer is in here. Good stuff. Now we go back into our super smart system and say, please audit that feature again. We have new feedback. And now it's trying to fetch that feature with its new description, all of that stuff, and trying to give it a new scoring. Let's see. So it's now receiving a 9.0 scoring. So we have the scoring in, it's 9.0. What that means, actually the system should now update the record with a recommendation towards that feature, write an email that we can send to the stakeholder for an invitation to talk about the feature, and also prepare a prototype in the background. Let's see. Yeah, it says it's now creating the prototype. I actually don't know when it's talking German or English to me. I guess the thing is wondering the same when I talking English or German. And it's writing an email as well. Let's see. Here we have an email. So it's written over here and over here as well as in the big text thing. My stakeholder, thanks for submitting the debt collection ranking feature request. I've reviewed the updated blah, blah, and so on and so on. Not super smart, but basically an invitation to meet. So now let's have a look at the prototype. This is the prototype. So it says performance dashboard, invoices analyzed, the number flagged for collection, stable tendency, false positives avoided, cash flow improvement, all of that. Now, I invite the stakeholder over. That's the purpose, the whole purpose of the prototype. I invite him over to have a first discussion based on that super stupid, simple prototype. And I will show you something fancy. So what can I do with the thing now? I have a discussion with him and he says, yeah, these are really interesting numbers, but I want to know how much money did we save per invoice? And that should be an additional field in the dashboard. So what I'm telling the thing is, please adjust the prototype and add a field savings per invoice, which carries exactly that number. Make the font in that field green as well. Okay, now we're hoping that the prototype will be changed as well. Let's wait a little. Ta-da! And in a live change on the whole thing, we have the new interface. Cool. So now we have the whole stakeholder flow finished, basically. But now the surprise I wanted you to wait for. So you see now we have a new roadmap and we have a ton of stuff in now. Not that much in next. We have everything basically approved. We have a ton of stuff in H2. And that actually makes no sense. So we have a couple of frictions in that roadmap, and I want to make these frictions explicit. Like I want to know, like, do we have a good balance between brain, organs, and nervous system parts we're building? Do we have a good balance regarding now, next, later? Do we have a good balance on the horizons? Because if you don't have enough custom stuff which you're building now and invest in all the products will make money later, but that will reduce our run rate, basically. So that is our situation right now. We need to think about money now as well. So I want to check this roadmap, basically. And I built a small command that says strategic review, and now the whole thing reviews the roadmap we're having based on a rough description of these criteria. So team capacity constraints, like that's of course obvious. Like we have 4 teams, but we have a ton of features now. 1 team can build an agent, not 5 agents. As I said, like we have a friction regarding horizons. We need to do enough in horizon. Custom business right now, we can invest in products later for money later, but we can't have that skewed towards H2. Let's look in how many different industries we're working. Like we can serve 20 industries, I guess. Okay, it took a little while, 4.5 minutes actually to do the analysis. So here's a little bit of a summary about the critical friction points. Capacity crisis worsened. We have 8 features in the now lane with 4 teams. That means 200% utilization, increasing from 175 we had before when I did my last analysis. The horizon rebalancing improved. 25% of now lane is H1, and that happened because the last feature was H1 sheer custom development. We're still at a critical cash flow risk because we only have 2 H1 features which are paying off right now. Recommendation urgent within 24 hours. Capacity rebalancing, put the email triage agent into next, put the car PDF check into next, put the invoice matcher into next, unless the contract is signed, actually. Put the documentation classification engine into next. That means we now have a clean now lane. Some recommendations about the horizon strategy. So in the very end, we will get some critical recommendations somewhere. Let me find them. Conclusion. This portfolio made meaningful strategic progress, but created an operational crisis. Positive changes, as I mentioned, critical problems. The now lane has 8 instead of 7 features. Each team is now carrying 2 concurrent products. Real capacity load is 242 to 60 with context switching. Burnout timeline is 4 to 6 weeks with this practice. Core tension is debt collection ranking and deserves now. Adding an 8th feature to the overloaded lane is too much. The fix requires 2 actions. Emergency capacity rebalancing, implement capacity gates, and so on and so on. Now here's the thing. You might say it's not hard to realize that 4 teams are working on 8 things and that's not possible. Yes, I get it. In real life, people are rarely bringing it up explicitly. So that relatively dumb analysis, having it now rather than a couple of weeks, fine. I can discuss it tomorrow. I can go over these items. I get strong recommendations. I don't need to follow them. I am the brain. I am the human in the loop. We decide what's going on. But we have a clear analysis now rather than in next week or in 2 weeks or whatsoever. So that AI slop analysis now helps me more than a human slop analysis in 2 weeks' time. Same with all the stuff before. None of that is a perfect system which would not rely on a human in the loop. It actually, for me, each step enforces a communication at inflection points where it's required. In the beginning, we have a gating process where dump requests don't even touch me. If people take care and qualify their requests, we can talk, and then we talk, and we can talk very qualified because we already have a dump prototype, but a prototype. And now we can discuss based on the prototype, improve and so on, put it into the system again, or forget about the system at all and just create a human-based PRD. Who cares? But that is the point I want to make with this. Like, where can a system like this help you to make the right inference now, have communication right now based on something maybe a little sloppy rather than in a couple of weeks, just like in my last system with a PRD. Would a human potentially in 2 weeks come up with a PRD, which often is sloppy as well because it's made in the evening before? Yes. Is it helpful with me, especially with the develop speeding up, having all these discussions as early as possible? Yes. And that is what I would use the system for, basically. So yes, a couple of things, a little bit of magic being done. I could channel Slack channels, email, all of that stuff into feature requests. I could have people want to qualify them. Who doesn't want to qualify them? Doesn't seem worthy of my time. Fine. Those people who know me will get my numbers qualified with me. Also fine. The next magic is the inserting into the roadmap logic and the alignment with the roadmap logic. Then once we did that and we had the prototype, I can do that analysis, which helps me totally ask myself questions about the road mapping, about the structure, the strategic structure. So I think there's a couple of things where the automation in the background helps me a lot. Again, which cannot be achieved by just copy and pasting into ChatGPT or anything. You need to set up the company structure, the company strategy and all that stuff to come up with that stuff. The good part is you only have to update stuff when the company strategy and all that stuff changes. You don't, it's really low maintenance. And all the commands I set up can be fired off every day, every week, every month, however you need it. You could automate a lot of these steps even more. You can send out the email automatically. You can have the script run every day because it's just a bash command in the end and all that stuff. So all of that is your choice. What I wanted to show is like where magic can be done with a system like that. And with that being said, thanks, and see you again with my next model one of those days. Thanks.